and you know that they got flaws too. And so you're like, but you got this going on too. Don't talk to me about me. Hello, Vissy here. This is the Legit Podcast. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts. Let's be honest. Sometimes we're the toxic ones. Sometimes you're the toxic ones. Sometimes we're both toxic. Either way, toxic is not good. And usually when we're in an unhealthy situation or in spaces that don't serve us, we don't realize it. And there's this African proverb, maybe a saying, I don't know, but in the Ghanaian language, it goes like, and what that means is whoever is cutting the field doesn't know that their back is crooked. That's because they're the ones doing it, so they don't know the missteps that they've taken. And sometimes society or people around us have this notion of, I'm not competing with pillow talk. And what that means is I'm not finna go get into anybody's business, because where our heart is, that's where our treasure is, right? And so if you talk to me about my man or my relationship, right, you're getting the fist, right? And so we have that attitude, and everybody's like, well, I'm finna just mind my own business. But please listen, I am here to compete with pillow talk, because divorce has been said that it can be worse than death, than losing a loved one. And this is not to trickle down the grief of losing a loved one, but divorce, what happens with that is you're grieving somebody that is still alive. So this means a lot to me, to be able to give clarity so you can get that clarity to make healthy decisions for you and your partner. Now, before I get into this, there is a program that I arranged for my sisters called Free to Flourish. And what that is you would be equipped with what you need to heal from heartbreak, pain, and trauma. And the beautiful thing about that is you would have the tools that you need to move the needle in your life. You've heard correct. You've heard about creating the life that you want, right? And in a very short span of time post-divorce, I have been able to land a job that I absolutely enjoy, travel whenever I want to, and really form authentic and legit, I call them legit relationships. And there's no space and place that I'm in that I do not genuinely enjoy. And that's what you want, right? To be able to create the life that you want, irrespective of whatever it is that you have gone through. And so if you are interested, email Free to Flourish to info@thelegityou.com or DM me on Instagram if you have any questions. And this is open until July 23rd, and so you want to lock in your seat before then. Let's get into this. We all have our flaws, right? And that does not make us a bad person. The difference lies in those of us that are actually willing to put in the work to improve, and those that don't even see it as a problem. Now that's toxic, when you don't even see that things that are causing issues, that are causing strained relationship, that is causing a drift between you and your partner is an issue. And we just have this attitude of, well, this is who I am, and so you just take me as a, that is toxic. But basically what I'm going to touch on is things that are unhealthy, and as long as you're aware of it, that's half the battle. And then actually putting the work to do better and to just improve. So the first thing of something that is unhealthy is changing versus growing. And what that is basically you're trying to change the person you're with rather than celebrating growth with them. Now, if you think about our relationship with God, God doesn't try to change us. He loves us in the moment that we're in the present moment, and really walks with us through our growth. And it's the same way in our relationship with our partners or with each other, that if you see somebody, and sometimes if you're with somebody, you want to try and change them to fit an idea or something that you want, well, you might as well just go be with that person then. No, but really what we want to do is grow with them versus changing them. And these things can go both ways. So the second thing is walking on eggshells. So either the other person is walking on eggshells or you're walking on eggshells. Basically, you can't address certain topics or talk about your feelings because you're afraid that that might turn into an argument. And then you start arguing about the fact that you brought that up instead of the thing itself. So basically, walking on eggshells is not a healthy thing. If you think, again, if you go back to our relationship with God, he wants us to share everything with him. Whilst our feelings, I say this, that whilst our feelings are valid, there are not the things that we have to make our decisions through. So feelings are feelings. God gave us our feelings. And so if somebody cuts me on the street right now, God, I'm mad. And that's the truth. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Why would this person do this on this hot day? It's just about expressing our feelings. And they say that it's not what you say, but it's how you say it, right? And so if you can't even express your feelings to a partner that you're with, then that is unhealthy because you're supposed to grow. Again, we're supposed to be growing. The third thing is when you're constantly arguing. Now, I came across this couple and they answered the question, so far, marriage has been, and they've been married for 11 years, and they said marriage has been easy. Now, while that is kind of rare to hear, it's definitely out there where people are just really flowing and chilling, and they just feel like marriage has been easy so far. And so growth, fun, laughter, times and moments that have us enjoying each other should really outweigh the moments that drain us in arguing. In the Free to Flourish program, there's a section called Have Fun. And not to give too much away, but basically I talk about what makes your life colorful. Now, if we think about it, a lot of us live our lives one-dimensional. And what that means is either just being in the space of work, or school, or our families, or the spaces that we volunteer in, or home, and that's just it. But we don't find ourselves in spaces that specifically bring us peace, spaces that make us proud of ourselves, that make us feel really accomplished, and just puts a constant joy within us and our aura and our energy. And so when you think about the energy that it takes to really constantly be arguing, that energy can be geared to something else that really always brings you peace. And so if you find yourself constantly arguing, that is not healthy. The fourth thing is when you're constantly being manipulative. And that can be in so many different forms, like passive aggression, playing the victim, always criticizing, and being defensive, and just so many other things. Now, I do want to say that personally, growing up, I was not taught how to communicate our feelings. First of all, even if feelings should be communicated, right? It's like, keep it stepping, just suck it up and keep going. And so coming from a place like this, sometimes it's just really challenging to communicate what's going on or our feelings in a healthy way. And we do that in ways that are not unhealthy. And this can be in criticizing, this can be in passive aggression, this can be in something called stonewalling, where there's just a long drawn out, and I've been guilty of this, where there's such a long drawn out period of silence. It's like, I'm not playing with you right now, and it's just gonna be, these things are not healthy. Now check out Mr. and Mrs. Flowers on Redefined TV, but basically they were talking about marriage, and they talked about how sometimes it can be really difficult to know that somebody, or challenging to know that this person that you're with has flaws, right? And then they would point out something constructively, point out something that maybe you need to work on, and that they got flaws too. And so you're like, but you got this going on too. Don't talk to me about me. But these are things that help us to grow. But then we kind of take the notion of the position and the posture of being defensive and always playing the victim. And that is not healthy. And the fifth thing that is not healthy is when you don't get together with somebody for the right reasons. And this may look like maybe you got together with them because of circumstances, because of convenience, because, well, y'all look cute, or because it just works. But there's this thing, about asking ourselves why. And when we constantly ask ourselves why, it rips up so much layers, and the brain is forced to come up with an answer. And so if you sit down and you ask yourself, well, why am I in a relationship with you? Or why am I with this person? There are times too that we are in relationship with people that reflect our brokenness, our fragmented beliefs, our insecurities, and our fears. And so, for example, I was in conversation with somebody that was explaining to me that they had picked a partner because of the relationship, subconsciously, because of the relationship that they had with their dad, and it was unhealthy, and the banter back and forth was unhealthy, and so they just looked to the next person that gave them any form of attention. So even though things that were going on in their relationship was unhealthy, they could at least get moments and pockets of, this makes me feel good. And even if there were times where it reflected parts of the relationship they had with their dad, they felt like it was familiar, and so they stayed there. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments below. But basically, sometimes when we get together with somebody, we don't ask ourselves why. Like, why? What part of me is this feeding? There are parts of us, I call it our default self, that is not really challenged by anything that calls us higher. And so we may get with somebody or be in spaces that really echoes and reflects these parts of us and feeds it and makes these wounds bigger. And then there are other parts of us that, there are other spaces that we find ourselves in that call us higher, that allows us to genuinely want to be with somebody that genuinely wants to express the highest version of ourselves. If we take our relationship with God, and this is something I learned post-divorce, that I was very much in religiosity, going to church because I was taught and I had to, reading my Bible because I was taught and I had to, not because I really wanted to. But when it got to a point where I did go back to my first love and I just enjoyed relationship and intimacy with God, I did things because of our relationship and because I wanted to, not because I had to, if that makes sense. And so when we're in a relationship with somebody, it's like, what is this feeding? Is it because it feels familiar to my brokenness, to the fragmented beliefs? Or is it because I genuinely want to be better and improve on the flaws? And I have found out that the success and how a relationship can absolutely thrive is when individually we're thriving and really working on ourselves, right? And so how well we do our individuality really determines the success of how we grow collectively as a unit. And so once again, a truly toxic person has no remorse or does not even see it as a problem when these things are going on, right? The difference lies in the ones that actually see it as a problem, which is half the battle won, and actually make steps to improve and do better. A lot of the times we don't want to look within and address our flaws and address certain areas that may be a problem. And if I think about even my life, there was a moment post-divorce when I was going through my healing journey where I just had no feelings, no hurt, no pain, no anger towards anybody but myself. And I did a lot of introspection. And sometimes when we're picking a partner, is because asking ourselves that why do you choose to be with this person? Are they really calling me to the highest version of myself? And am I creating a space, and do I willingly want to create a space where they can too? And so I sat back and I was like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Like, busy, like, what's up? And a lot of the times we don't want to do this work, but it is necessary. And how well we do our individuality does flow into the success and the growth, the flourishing, the abundance of a healthy relationship. So this is what I have for y'all today. This is actually an answer to a question. And so if you have any questions at all, DM me on Instagram, email info@thelegityou.com. Connect, stay connected, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a beat when an episode goes up. And until next time, I will catch you on the next one. Bye.